Thank you. So you may wonder what is the connection between technical issues and books on strategy. So there is a connection, and this connection is the author of these books, named Edward Luttwak, which was born in Romania and kept contacts with Romania. He came a number of times in his origin town in Arad, but also in Șara and in Bucharest. Because he had Jewish origins, and he left Romania in 1947 before the start of communism, starting an exceptional career in Italy and then in the United States. And he's very well known also in Israel because of his studies. He's an expert on Israel issues. He devoted a lot of articles and opinions on the situation in Israel from the strategic point of view. And of course, what your university is doing is connected also with the strategy, because we are talking here about energy, which is a very important part of any kind of strategy. I would like to say that Edward Luttwak is, together with another British author, Lawrence Freedman, it's the best and the most well-known expert on strategy field in the world. But apart from Friedman, he tried to write about the evolution of the concept of strategy in different times, in different eras. He started with the strategy of the Roman Empire. At that time, when the book was published, nobody believed that the history of the Roman Empire could be interpreted from the perspective of strategy. But he proved right. He devoted a lot of his academic life to study the strategy of that time. Then he wrote a book about the strategy of the Byzantine Empire that we translated also in Romanian. And also the book on the strategy of China, which is just published a few weeks ago. And we have the pleasure also to present for the first time here in Târgoviște, in Universitatea Valahia. Well, until now, Edward Luttwak didn't wrote a book about the strategy of Russia, the empire in Russia. But you see, with the current war, there is still time to accumulate materials, let's say, in order to have this missing link in the whole interpretation of strategy that Luttwak done since the 70s. So for the last 50 years, he wrote extensively on strategy, not only these books, but also a lot of scientific articles and so on. So he's a very close friend of Romania, and we exchange personal views with him. We told him about our initiative, and he was very happy because he's a friend not only of Romania but also a friend of Israel, as I said. So he's very happy that this initiative of bringing you as a professor here in Romania took shape, and thanks to our colleagues, actually Victor and Lenny, who devoted a lot of efforts to bring you here and to establish this connection. In my view, this university, because of what we have seen and because of special dedication to this area, I think is the best place in Romania that you will find in order to cooperate with. And please send this message to your university that me, as an outsider of this university, I strongly recommend to have more ties with About these books, I bring it here, only one copy, because I was abroad and I'm unable to bring more copies, but I bring a copy of any book that we did. Now we are working on the strategy of the Roman Empire. I hope that until the end of the year it will be available. And apart from the great strategy of Byzantine Empire, that you see it's an impressive book. It took us years to finalize the main version. Here is the manual, the strategy, the logic of war and peace. It is a manual that is studied in one of the most important American universities. And for the first time it was translated in Romania, and a lot of professors have already included abstracts from this book in the curricula for the field of security studies and international relations. And as I said, the most recent is about China, facing the logic of strategy. It's not only about current China, but also about the history of China, the attention from a strategic perspective. And when you see the strategic perspective developed by Luttwak, I think everyone can better understand what is going on in China, and which are the opportunities and also the dangers of China rising nowadays. So I strongly recommend also to read this book in order to understand our current world. I will stop here. As I said, we started this project thanks to cooperation with Exim Bank, who dedicated a lot of attention to this project. And we are very thankful, and we will continue the cooperation with them in order to finish the entire Luttwak series in Romania. And I hope that when we discuss on the way from Bucharest to Târgoviște, the professor asked me if the English edition are available, and I said yes, and maybe even your students in Israel could read these books, because they are important also to open their minds on what they are doing and what they are learning beyond the current study. Okay, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to all of you that made possible this event. And, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Karp, and thank you for the nice words that you said about our university, and for conveying this message to our Israeli colleagues. In order to become partners with our university, it is really very important for us, so we are looking forward, and we will be proactive in this relationship, supporting it with all the strategic impact that we can offer. So I would like to ask Professor to share with us his thoughts about those aspects that he would like to discuss today.
My question to you, simply because it's a bigger crowd than I thought, would you like me to use some slides like PowerPoint?
Sure.
So, if you don't permission, let me just load this for a second.
The Estonian government announced today that they are going to use ChatGPT for their yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's Saturday, yes.
Yes.
Limited. Well, we'll see.
Yes. students will use it for their
That's for sure they use.
It's coming. This is coming. I saw that the European Union is now trying to define how to use
Define the rules, yes.
rules.
There's a control for that? Or?
Okay, so I will share my screen.
Okay, we are in business. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We have short time, and I have many things to say. And so I think that first, in a way of introduction, I already told you that I'm a professor emeritus at Bangalore University, which means that I'm a professor at the university until I die by the Senate regulation. I also share an office with a very good friend of ours by the name of Professor Nahum Finger, who is a former rector of Bangalore University, a good man, and I suggest that some of the stuff I talk about, we share our views about that. Used to be also this gentleman, the vice chairman or the deputy chairman of the Council of Higher Education of the Government of Israel. And we've shared these views, and what I tell you now actually is a stem of the government of Israel in Europe. Okay? I also serve as a dean of the School of Industrial Engineering Management at Shankar College, which is a college of engineering, design, and art. And I'm also serving as the chairman board of governors of our National Association of Engineers and Architects, which is about 400,000 members. Work here. So, as I said, there are many things to talk about, but I'll try to make it very short. And I think that Professor Karp talked about the importance of strategy. And I totally agree with him. Actually, over my academic career, I've written and co-authored and edited 27 books. 2 books have to do with strategy. Actually, if you Google my name, you'll find a book on international business. And I claim that without strategy, none of these universities, other universities, will not happen. Something about the strategic thinking makes the world go round. Money makes the world go round. But strategy gives us the guidance. In Chinese, it's called Baidu, compass. It tells us where we are, and it tells us where would you like to go. So I totally value your strategic notion. And obviously China is a power to reckon with. I won't expand, but I do have a strong relationship with China. Part of it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with my uncle, who is a Nobel Prize laureate in physics by the name of George Sharpak, whose technology is behind CERN. I don't know if you're familiar with CERN, but the technology of Professor George Sharpak is behind the CERN accelerator, as well as behind the MRI technology and some others. So another key word, and I won't expand on too much on that, is has to do with entrepreneurship. I believe, and I expand on that in different countries around the world, that entrepreneurship is so very important because it has to do with individuals taking charge of their own destiny, both in the way of life career, and in the way of business. And I think it is very important. And in here, I notice already people that I like to call academic entrepreneurs, which I believe is very important. So I'm going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, but I also want to, since we are at the university, since we are at the university academic institution, I'd like to share with you the views that basically the government of Israel has about science and technology and engineering education. So I'll talk about that. I also took the liberty of comparing Romania and Israel with your permission, because I was never here, but I followed you for about 20 years. So, and I think some of the insights are very interesting. And so, let's start with short definitions. All of you are familiar with the words. Let me use my definitions. The first one has to do with innovation. Taking the Schumpeterian point of view, those that are familiar with economics, a process by which a new product, process, service, or business model is introduced, renewed, or brought up to date. The other definition I'd like to share with you is entrepreneurship, which is a process of developing, organizing, and running a business venture along with any risk associated with it. My definition of entrepreneurship, I coined it 25 years ago or so. There's another theme I'd like to talk about, very relevant to this room, and it has to do with intrapreneurship, employee entrepreneurship. I suspect each one of you, being a department head, a dean, a vice rector, a rector, president of the university, is, after all, an internal entrepreneur. You come up with a new idea, you try to convince your colleagues it's a good idea, not easy. You try to convince the curriculum committee, you try to convince the Senate, and then eventually your ideas maybe take place. Intrapreneur, very important. But here is also a problem or a challenge. Do you know in most Western corporations, what is the average intrapreneurship rate? In other words, what percentage of employees we can consider, scientifically speaking, because I'm using scientific methods here, consider internal entrepreneur? 5%. 5%. Any other percentage guesses here about 6%? 16? 3%. On the average. Western corporations. 97% of the employees are good employees. They come in the morning, they punch the clock, they do whatever they need to do. But they're not internal entrepreneurs. Why? Has to do with culture, has to do with organization and culture. In a minute, some more information about it. But remember this number, because our challenge many times is simply to increase the amount of intrapreneurs from 3%, I'm just saying, to 5%, to 7%. That will make a difference. Then the last thing I want to define, because I'm going to mention it once or twice, all of us familiar with AI, I'm not going to expand on that, and all of us familiar with both the opportunities and the risks, and just for that I have to spend several hours because I think it's fascinating how it affects curriculum at universities, how it affects most supply chains, and the way we do business around the world. I'm not going to expand it now. Okay. So first point of view, a national point of view about science, technology, and engineering education. And this is based on a task force that the government of Israel put together. I'm part of this task force. If you look at this particular very simple chart, on the right-hand side, you see the different programs, shall we say, academic programs, undergraduate programs, graduate programs, also lifelong learning, sometimes here continuing education, schools at the university, right? That's what we do. This is the business we are in. Now, for many years, we have realized that apart from all the core courses in technology, science, engineering, we need to provide these skills: critical thinking, creativity, complex problem solution, teamwork, internationalization, and communication. Some people call it soft skills, but we find out these are very important skills. I won't go into the complex issue of in-depth studies versus interdisciplinary studies, which all of us wrestle with, I'm sure, but I would like to point a few these very important words: experimentation and internship. We find that, nationally speaking, we need to have more of that in our academic curriculum for science, technology, and engineering. In other words, experimentation and internship. And I'm going to relate that in a minute to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. Here is a survey we've conducted for hundreds and thousands of students, nationally speaking. And this is the frequency in which they said whether this particular issue is important to the student. And long and behold, they themselves said that experimentation and internship is very important for them, the students here. I also want you to notice, you know the word in English, faculty. Faculty is us. Look how important it is for the students' perspective. You can argue, you can ask why. I'm not getting into the reasons, I'm just saying, for them, it's very important to indeed have some interdisciplinary studies. Most importantly, the way I see experimentation and internship while they are in school. All right. Now we internalize that, and we need to see what kind of programs we have in order to indeed have students experience more hands-on and go through internship while we at university. I'll backtrack for a second now, and I'd like to talk about entrepreneurship. As I said before, entrepreneurship is a very important skill, a very important piece of knowledge, shall we say, and it is also reflected in the attitude and culture of nations. Well, for 25 years back, together with 9 other countries, I founded a core group of researchers that deal with entrepreneurship. We defined a set of tools, shall we say. The first tool we've used is basically charting the process of entrepreneurship. If you want to start a new faculty, if you want to start a new department, if you want to start a new business, you have to go through some kind of a process. The process starts in here. possibly sitting together with people with creative mind and with strategic mind, maybe like Professor Karp, maybe I'm sitting with Madeleine here, or with Victor, and we say, we have a good idea. And then we finish the cup of coffee, and the question is, what do we do after we finish the cup of coffee? So we have to start the process, and it has to do with identifying the product, designing the product, producing the product, making a business plan, go to the marketplace, hire some employees, getting some suppliers, finding one or two customers, etc. It's a process. Now, in our scientific model, the one I've used for the last 25 years, I'm basically saying there's a nascent stage, first 3 months, and then there is a period between 3 months and 42 months in which we define this venture as new, and then we move into what we call a mature business. I won't go into the statistics, but we found out that the first 42 months for any idea, for any initiative, are critical. 42 months, 3.5 years. I'll stop you for a second. I want you to understand that if I'm a government, I would listen very carefully to what happened in the first 3 months, and then what happened in the first 42 months, and then I'll ask you, if you are in the new business, what do you need? How can I help you? Do you need a tax break? Do you need exposure to international markets? You need to have somebody like Professor Karp on strategy that will tell you how to conquer China. I'm just saying. So the point is, these months are very important. Our study shows us, over the years, 25 years now, that what we do in the first 3 months and then 42 months of any venture is critical to the success and the maturity of the business, of turning a business into a sustainable venture or sustainable business. If I'm talking too fast, please, ladies and gentlemen, tell me, okay? All right? All right. All right, so this is one tool we use, and the other tool we use is this. This is basically a conceptual framework. Don't be alarmed, there are many letters here, but let me guide you for a second to the letters. On the left-hand side, there are some entrepreneurial framework conditions. You know, when Valahia University was created here, I'm sure there are some good things about this area. The weather, the piece of land you got from the local government, possibly some good faculty members, you know, some framework conditions, I call it. And they are in here. If you do the right things and you have the right societal values and you have good attributes for the individuals involved, then something is created and eventually ends up with socio-economic development. Some businesses fail, some ventures fail, some universities do not succeed, others do. Now I'd like to talk about Romania versus Israel for a second because I think it is interesting. First thing, I checked out your GDP per capita in 1948. Why? Because in 1948 the state of Israel was founded. So in 1948, your GDP per capita was on the average $650. Guess what was the GDP per capita when the state of Israel was founded? $650. About the same. Going forward 75 years, I checked it just several days back. Israel is sitting at about $44,000 GDP per capita. Romania sits at about $15,000. Those are current numbers, more or less. Look at the gap. So we started from the same place, judging by GDP or GNP per capita, PPP, purchasing power parity, and look at the gap. So the question we should ask ourselves, what should we do in order to close this gap? So I looked at some other issues which I think are interesting. I looked at the amount that Romania, as a country, invests in R&D, and I found out it's 0.5%. In Israel, we spend continuously about 4% of GNP per capita. Guess what? It makes a difference longer term on your GNP growth. All right. continue on. I'll try to be brief, but all right. So over 24 years or so, we have conducted this research in about 100 countries. About 95% of the world economy is part of our sample. About 75% of the world population is part of our sample. But guess what? I'm not using any government information. We don't believe in government information. We get information from China. We don't want to use the Chinese government information.
Wise.
So,
This is wise.
wise. Yes, it is wise not only because, I like to think, not because objectively you know that maybe some feeling with the numbers, but also because we would like firsthand. If I want to know what is the rate of innovation, I'm just saying in Chengdu, I go to Chengdu. I want to see what is the rate of innovation in French Polynesia, Mozambique, Madagascar, Seychelles Islands, India, United States, every state in the state, provinces in Canada. I'll go there. If I don't go there, I have somebody that goes on my behalf, using the same paradigm in order to get the information as accurately as possible. So over the years, international organizations are using my information. The United Nations, the OECD, some regional associations like ASEAN and others, the World Bank, etc. They like this information because it comes from the field. And it's, in that case, very robust statistically speaking. So I won't go into the details, but we're talking about a very large database, which we maintain, obviously. And obviously, we had checked the world over during the pandemic, and we asked ourselves what happened to this phenomenon we tracked, etc. I won't go into details. You're welcome to go into this link if you want. And you'll find lots and lots of information in the report. We issue national reports and we issue global report. I'd like to encourage Romania to be more involved in that, but that's a different story. I won't go into some of the very interesting insights from the study. Generally speaking, I can tell you that during the pandemic, those countries that could least afford the change to the worst will suffer the most. Those that are considered by international categorization, there are many countries doing very well, generally speaking. The rate of activity in entrepreneurship innovation went down by 22%. Those that are considered very poor countries went down by 72%. So the impact of the pandemic was very strong in the countries that could least afford. Which I think is very important. There are some other insights. I'm not going to go into them because time is too short, because I want to focus on comparing Romania and Israel, and possibly identifying those areas in which I call them challenges in the car when I drove the gentleman and the lady today. But those are challenges. So let's look at these challenges. So as you can see, Romania is categorized in level B countries by international categorization. Israel is still in level A according to international categorization. And now I'm giving you the bottom line. And the bottom line is, without getting into details, when you put all those different framework conditions together and the level of activity of innovation and entrepreneurship, you have the different countries around the world put together in an index. Now, we're all academics and we know that indices sometimes have weaknesses, and we can challenge them, but I'm not going to go into these details unless you ask me. The point is, though, that here is Romania. I don't know if you can read the names of the other countries, it doesn't matter. Here is Israel. Now there is a correlation between what I said before about GDP per capita and investment in R&D, and in a minute I'll give you some more insights here. You'll be surprised though well, maybe they are not surprised down here. Who is the least? If you want to open up a new business, where is the country you don't want to be? It's at the bottom here of the chart. Venezuela. Okay? At the top of the chart this year, or last year, yes, is a country which I didn't expect it to be, United Arab Emirates. If you want to start a new business, a new venture, the best place today, according to this index, is United Arab Emirates. Now I have to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, were you in the United Arab Emirates? Anybody visited United Arab Emirates? No? Or just Google United Arab Emirates and you'll be impressed with the fact that this is a very forward-looking country. I don't know if you know. They have a ministry of AI. How many countries around the world do you know that they have a ministry of artificial intelligence?
What about Lithuania? Because it's the fifth.
Right here?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you notice, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the fifth one. Well, it's very high. To be honest with you, I don't remember. I mean, I don't. But if you read the summaries, I have summaries of every country. I'm sure it may explain why Lithuania is so high up. Anybody was to Lithuania?
Yes.
So you know, right? So intuitively, you may be able to explain it even better than me, because I've never been there. So, but back to United Arab Emirates for just a second. I've been there several times already. You know that United Arab Emirates have a Ministry of Happiness? Ministry of Happiness. I think there's only one country that I know that has a Ministry of Happiness in the world. I think it's Bhutan. Yes, that's correct. So, yeah, all right. So it doesn't matter. The point is, you go into the United Arab Emirates and you see a very modern place. You see a plethora of buildings that are looking for new tenants. They are looking for either universities or businesses. They are ready to give it to you for free, literally, if you want to come in. And if you need any tax break, guess what? No taxes. No corporate tax, no personal tax, no taxes at all. So in many respects, and obviously, as you know, about 90% of the residents are foreigners in the United Arab Emirates. So in many respects, it's a very forward-looking country. And most importantly, you come up with a new idea, chances are somebody would listen to you. I'm not sure if it happens in Bucharest the same way. You have a good idea, you go in, you say, oh, I'd like to start this thing, new university, a new business. I'm not sure whether you get the same support as they give you in United Arab Emirates. So, I'm going to end up most of my insights, but before that I want to show you, I won't go into the web presentation, but if you look at without getting into details, the blue line is Romania. The orange line is the world average in every one of the issues that are framework conditions that are listed here. So you can see there's a relative weakness in Romania when it comes to entrepreneurial education at school. You think about how many courses you offer in different faculties that you have mentioned earlier today. How many courses you offer in innovation and entrepreneurship, in engineering, in material science, in mechanical engineering, BA, business administration, in economics, etc. Key, very important. Another weakness is social and cultural norms. Okay, you have to have a frame of mind that is making to accept innovation and entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. You see, let me show you something that I've done comparison over the years. Actually, I checked Romania in 2001. I've never been here before. In 2001, started to check Romania. Here is, for example, the activities, entrepreneurship activity, both intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship. And as you can see, Israel and Romania is about the same for independent entrepreneurship. When it comes to intrapreneurship, look how much of a difference. In other words, people that are part of large organizations, say the university, I'm just saying, have much lower entrepreneurship activity in Romania than in Israel. And this gap is quite significant. Another comparison, oh yeah, there's an interesting one. Fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to fail. In some societies, in the past, in Japan, if you fail, you kill yourself. You commit suicide. Okay? Nobody likes to fail. But there are some countries that are not that upset. Actually, some countries even celebrate failure because you learn from failure. Okay? Now, it's interesting that both Romania and Israel, as you can see over the years, we're just about the same in our fear of failure. Okay? However, this is an interesting insight. When we measure cultural and social norms about innovation, entrepreneurship, there's quite a gap. This is the cultural and societal norms in Israel, and this is in Romania. I'm sorry that there is a gap here for years because Romania did not participate, did not contribute the information, so I couldn't relate to it. But as of 2015, you can see that there is quite a difference. We celebrate entrepreneurship. We celebrate people that dare to take risks. I think earlier we called it Victor Chutzpah. We appreciate chutzpah. We appreciate people that take the destiny in their own hands, even if they fail. And actually, we celebrate failure. How do we celebrate failure? Entrepreneurs that started up new business and failed, usually you find people that are willing to invest in them because they figured that whoever started a business or started a venture or started a college and failed, he learned from her or his mistakes. All right, so something about societal and cultural views. I'm going to end up my presentation. Okay, I won't go into more of the interesting insights about Romania and Israel, including lack of financing for new ventures, relatively speaking. But I'm going to point out 4 different tools as a nation that we use in order to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. And I'll end my presentation with that. First one is a national hackathon. I'm very happy to tell you that some Romanian teams were participating in the national hackathon. Some teams from, I believe, from Morocco, some teams from United Arab Emirates, from the United States, etc. And hackathon basically means putting all the students that are interested in a room for 36 hours, giving them challenges, professional challenges, and asking them to solve these challenges and presenting to people from academia and industry. They would give them awards. On the way here, I described one product of a hackathon. We work with Haier Corporation that produces white goods, refrigerators, ovens, microwave, dishwashers, etc. And on the way, we passed a Romanian-based white good manufacturer. I forgot, what was the name of this manufacturer? Arctic, thank you. Now I understand it's owned by a Turkish, right? So the competition is higher, and higher is a Chinese corporation, possibly the largest in the world, one of the largest. And they approached me and they said, we don't see any innovation in dishwashers, for example. Can you innovate in dishwashers? I wasn't sure. I got the students together in the last hackathon, and guess what? The students designed a sink that turns into a dishwasher with a pull of a lever. One pull of a lever changes the sink into a dishwasher. Haier Corporation loved it. They sent it to the development office in Italy, and now they produce on a pilot basis prototypes in China of these dishwashers. They are very good for smaller apartments, like student residents, for example. So the hackathon is one of the things. I put together a coalition of all the academic institutions in Israel, and they participate with me on this hackathon. Okay. The other tool we use, this particular thing invented 25 years ago. You might be familiar with Junior Achievement Award, which is also in Europe and also in the United States. Well, I started similar thing in Israel. We are now associated with JA, we call ourselves JA Israel, you can Google it. And for the last 25 years, children in high school, middle school, are being supervised by my students from the university for 1 year, during which they design a product, they manufacture the product, they market the product, they raise capital, and they win prizes. And if they're really good, then we send them to compete on international junior achievement award events. In many cases, we get first or second prize. So remember, we want to instigate this culture of innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. So that's another tool. I won't go into the details of this particular exciting opportunity. And again, if you Google JA Israel, you find it. The other thing is, let me see if I can.
Our student participated in this competition.
Sorry?
Our student participated in this competition.
How they participate?
In this competition.
The students serve, it's a good question. The students serve as a mentor for each team of high school children. So if I have in a high school team 15 children, boys and girls, then I have 2 students of mine that supervise for 1 year what they do. They team together with an engineer, professional engineer, who helps them as well. Okay, so that's how we give them credit points. In other words, we give them grades, for the students.
Yes, we have the teams which participate in the national competition.
We have. Nice. That's very important activity, which I believe helps the students and also the children in the high school, right, to become more innovative. Incidentally, these are some of the products that came out of Israel. And this one, for example, is a dog collar for locating lost dogs. I don't know if you have dogs or cats at home. Children are attached to them, and if they get lost, it's a disaster. It's a problem. So having a collar like that is very important in that sense. So that's one of the things that the children in the high school design. The other one is a smart mobile phone that neutralizes incoming messages while you drive. We tend to do it sometimes. Unfortunately, you drive, you get a message, you don't look at the road, you look at the phone, very dangerous. The kids devised this particular thing that neutralizes messages. To be honest with you, sometimes my wife calls, and I'm on the road, and I do answer. Actually, she called me just minutes ago, so it's a problem. But at any rate, this is something that the children do. The other thing which is very important is drawing a child bracelet. In other words, a child 3-4 years old, before he goes to the swimming pool, you give him one of these babies here, and if God forbid something happens to him, you get to know, the parents get to know, the emergency service get to know. And the last thing, I'm really excited about that, this is a board game. This board game is good for people that are blind and for people that are not blind, without any advantage to any of them. And I'm very proud of that, because basically it allowed, as I said, both populations, those that do see and those that don't see, unfortunately, to play together with no advantage to either side. All right. So that's the junior achievement. I won't go into the process. Yes, okay. There's another thing, it has nothing to do with me specifically, but as you know, in Israel, there is a mandatory military service. Every child, girl, boy, 18 years old, they have to go to the army. A boy goes for 3 years, girl goes for 2 years. And they become basically very responsible adults. Why? Because many times we trust them with ammunition. We trust them operating very expensive, sophisticated equipment. Some young kids, you give them already the responsibility, and it helps mature them. So if there is a war, nobody likes war, obviously, and I have 8 grandchildren, I can tell you I don't like war at all, but I think this particular, how would I say, regime helps them become responsible, more mature. And in that sense, when they come to me as students at the age of 21, 22, I think they are more mature in that they know better what they want. Some of them even have a family already. In other words, it does make a difference. I like to say that it helps promote a culture of innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. All right. Right. Last tool, recently being debated in Israel. Several years back, I came up with the idea of an academic coupon. Basically, it says that if somebody who is really good potential candidate for, say, engineering school, you say to him, okay, you're welcome to be admitted to, but you don't need to stay for 4 years. I'm giving you a coupon that entitles you to complete your academic studies in, say, 10 years. You come in for 1 or 2 years, and if after 2 years you find that you've got a great idea, you're going to go out and start a business, or you want to already go and be employed, then I let you go. Come back to me for the 3rd or 4th year, only if you feel you want it, you need it. Maybe because your employer said so, or because you feel personally you need to get more academic courses. Academic coupon. I can tell you that for our government, this idea is a nightmare. Why? Because it's very difficult to plan 1 year, 2 years in advance, because you don't know how many people will get out of the system. So from the administration point of view, it's a challenge. But from the students' point of view, it's great. Some of my students today are so mature that they are ready to take this responsibility and say, yes, we leave you after 2 years, say, but we will come back because we know that at one point we need some more education. But we don't need to complete all 4 years now. So academic coupon is another thing that's supposed to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship by our citizens. Okay, I'd like to summarize. I started out by giving you what I believe is a point of view about how important is experimentation and internship as part of academic studies. Our students tell us so. We know that this particular approach also makes our potential employers very happy. Intel, IBM, HP, Microsoft, Facebook, all of them told us it's a good thing. Internship while they study. Okay. Then I laid out for you what I believe is a national approach to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. For me, it's a direct contribution to the economy of any economy. I can talk about all kinds of economies around the world, but I showed you about Romania. And I took the trouble to show you the specifics where I think there's quite a gap. There are ways to bridge this gap. I suggested 4 different ways in which we use, and this may be something for you to consider. Going forward, and now I'd like to respond to what was said earlier by Professor Clark and yourself, Sylvia. I think it would be indeed a very good thing for us to cooperate. We have to find how and where, because obviously we have to strategize, right? It's a strategy. But I think there's a basis for that, and I think that I'm very pleased that I was brought into this meeting by my two friends in here, by Professor Clark. But it's a question of principle. I think it is a very good idea. I'm particularly impressed with the fact that you are outside of the main city, Bucharest, but you still want to become a main hub for academic education, both regionally and nationally. Bengal University, which is my university, started the same way. We basically stuck nowhere, as you know, somewhere south in the country, in the middle of the desert. And when David Ben-Gurion, who was our founding prime minister, said, I'd like to have a university here, everybody said to him, in the middle of nowhere. this will go nowhere. You know, we'll have no students and no faculty and no laboratories. Well, long and behold, we've got about 25,000 students now. A very vibrant university with all the bells and whistles, as they say in English. So, yes, I really appreciate where you are and the fact that you took the challenge to help promote academic education in this area. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? I don't allow any questions.
So please, the session of questions, comments is open. So one question regarding this investment in research. You are very right. We are, I think, the last in the European Union in terms of investment in research that can produce development and growth. What do you think that prompted Israel to achieve such a quite big investment in research? What was the impulse of it?
Very good question, but I'd like to go back to basics. You know who is the founding president of the State of Israel? The founding president, not the prime minister. David Ben-Gurion was the founding prime minister. Founding president of the State of Israel. His name was Dr. Chaim Weizmann, who was a scientist. He was a chemist. Actually, he invented this explosive powder which he gave for free to the British. That's why possibly they won the wars. But the point is, he was a scientist. And when you come to visit me in Israel, and I do it for every visitor, I get special permission to visit the laboratory of our founding president. He was no politician, he was no author, he was no poet, he was a scientist. And his lab is so modest, is so primitive, you know, and you ask yourself, how do you get all this good stuff from a very simple lab? Today I saw your labs here in this building, you know, I can get it much better from the ones that he has used, you know. So I think first of all, I think it comes from the concept that the country, Israel, was founded because there was a scientist that founded this country as a president. Dr. Chaim Weizmann, any of you, maybe you've been to Israel, maybe not, but if you come in, you know, I'll be very happy to ask for special permission to see this very modest laboratory that I think made a difference. You ask, why Israel invest so much money? The second thing, I'm going to now say something. We've got, for example, as of today, 5 live Nobel Prize laureates in Israel. As you know, you get a Nobel Prize only if you're alive. If you're dead, even if you've done an excellent job, you would never get the Nobel Prize. So we still have 5 living, working Nobel Prize laureates. And they are part of our institutions, obviously. And I think they also give this sense of urgency about the need to invest in R&D. Last but not least, no question about that, Israel being always in the dire need to protect itself security-wise. As they say, invention necessity is the mother of invention. We had the needed necessities in order to invent some very good forward-looking scientific devices. And I think all these together, you know, maybe one more thing. You know that we've got the highest number of, I believe, engineers and technicians per 1,000 in the world, apart from the States maybe. So this is the point is many multinationals discovered Israel as a very good hub for R&D. So that's why very early on we got all the Intels of the world, and, you know, the IBMs of the world, and later on we see Facebook and Microsoft and everybody else to say we need to use this human resource skills. So we moved to Israel, at least partially. Actually, I have a personal story to tell you. My son, one of my children, the oldest one, I had a startup in Israel, employed about 100 people. Several years back, eBay loved very much what he did, and they bought his business. But then they said, we'll buy the business only if you become vice president global for eBay. You're familiar with eBay, right? So everything was great, except that he had to move to San Jose, California, and take 3 of my bench children with him. The reason eBay came to Israel in the first place is because some of those algorithms that were invented in Israel for eBay were very good. So I think that may be another impetus, to invest in R&D. Good question, thank you.
So we can say that as Iceland is the land of writers, Israel is the land of engineers and researchers. I want to take the opportunity to introduce also our Vice Rector for Education, Professor Andersson. He's an engineer, and maybe he can share with us a little bit about what the university has in terms of cooperation with companies. And Arctic, you mentioned Arctic and Renault. Maybe he can tell us a few things about that. Just the comments part.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for my delay. It is your presentation was very clear and very interesting for us, especially coupons and involved of the students in the context of innovation. Some part of these activities regarding this kind of contest, it was realized by our university and Arctic in the past year. More in 2016 and 17, and in history in 2011 and 2012, Arctic with our students and other students from other university offer this kind of contest. It's a challenge for us, and all the time our students was in the first position regarding our university. Renault, it's another. It's for example a new kind of refrigerator or a new kind of washing machine. In this moment, this kind of washing machine was in the marketplace, but in the past year our students innovate this kind of washing machine regarding the Internet of Things and other parts. Renault is another kind of company, also Schneider, that collaborate very good with Schneider Electric. Ericsson, it's a big company that comes from our university. And Oțel Inox, in the same time, is part of the Samsung concern. It's a big company that offer for our students internship in English, and this is very, very good for us. And a lot of another kind of activities, materials, equipment for our laboratory. And after that, we offer them a lot of pictures to go in Korea, because it's very important for Korean teams to see what is our activities here. And we have also a lot of projects. Dorin, it's our graduate students. It was here in this room, but a project, an European project, was a good. He presented, yes. It's our graduate students, and we are very proud of them.
So, for instance, in Arctic, a large part of the engineers and also the leadership of Arctic is, yes, our graduates of our university. Yes.
Our graduate students, after 12 20 years of existence, existing in this area, are now in the team position and all the team position. I think.
It's amazing. I have to tell you, you mentioned, it's good, thank you, about the importance of academic coupon. I have
Yes.
to tell you, if you decided
Very
to adopt it, not to, for all the students, but really the good students, you have to know that two institutions called me up and I'm going to go there because they were interested to use it. One is Stanford University, just outside San Francisco, Stanford University. They thought it's very good for the students. The other institution, I don't know if you're familiar with the institution, it was very famous, the third best in the States, called Olin, O-L-I-N, College of Engineering in Massachusetts. Check it out, one of the older institutions. So they called me up and said, please come over, we'd like to consider adopting this as well. So if you decide to adopt it, you'll be in good company. You'll be with Stanford and College of Engineering. So I support it. Obviously, if you need some more details, I'll be very happy to support you on this one. Again, because I think it reflects what the students expect on the one hand and what the employers expect on the other. So thank you for telling me. Thank you.
So, are there questions or comments regarding?
I would like to make a brief comment. First of all, on behalf of mine and Dr. Action, we want to pay a great deal of respect for the huge history which is behind the place where we are today. It's a huge value and it's absolutely necessary to being brought up again. And I suspect that in a matter of time which is about to come, Dâmbovița is going to become actually the capital of energy, of the new energy. Things are moving very fast. I'm a physicist, so I know from the global perspective. And I just want to add the new project, which is already it's not a new project. Small modular reactor, it's old. It started back in 50. All the submarines, ships, big ships, icebreakers.
But on the surface,
Nothing happened in this
first
period.
time in the most populated zone
Where?
here.
No, it's not the first time.
Give me another place where
Polish.
this-
Poland.
in the middle of the
Poland
the
has
most populated
the
zone.
last 15 signed the contract with several companies.
We must talk
We'll
about
talk
it.
about it.
Give me.
I have the proofs.
Okay.
I have the proofs. Now, I want to convey a special message from the president of Exim Bank Romania. Exim Bank Romania is a co-founder of the investment fund of the 3 Cs initiatives, a project which started a couple of years ago, connecting 12 countries in order of developing the critical infrastructure from north to south. Here, Professor Karp, which is accustomed to the strategic, and Professor Miloi, which had the privilege of knowing through Professor Karp, it's a whole chain. And I got a high level of understanding and an extremely warm welcome. And again, I want to convey this kind of deep appreciation. And moving now at the expertise which this lovely lady got over the last year in her 4 visits in Israel. She was over the last year, more time in Israel than in Romania. She has a very entrepreneurial, she's advising the president of Exim Bank in international issues. And at a certain point in time, she made a connection with me, a video connection, telling me before that she wants to introduce me, a great personality and a great expert in terms of strategic engineering. And that's the way our first time I heard and saw Professor Militas. Looking beyond his background of decades, I spent almost 10 years in the United States, so I'm global. I was instrumental in many major projects which have been developed over the years. That's a private discussion I'll be glad to share with you. Because I love this place, I'm not here to leave. I just cracked the door to get inside. I've been here before, several times, but this time we will be here for a long time. So, Professor Mentas is conveying to us strategically, you know, a great deal of experience, which goes Israel, of course, and global. The fact that we are able to get together today, to start sharing in such a warm environment, at a time when the whole world is changing. The change is not going to be for 1 year, 2 years. It's going to be for at least 30 years. It's a global change. New balance of powers are emerging, and this kind of time requires great minds, strategical capabilities to understand what's about to come, not just what was and what's happening today, in order to know how to put myself next week, next month, 10 years from now. I'm talking about that kind of unit which I'm calling my life. So taking into the account all these issues, I convey the president of Exim Bank, which is saluting, he knows. We got pictures from here. He was at the government because today it's switching. It's a major in terms of by the end of the week, probably we're going to have the new government, which is not easy. It's a complex issue. Second, I want to appreciate a lot the presence of Professor Dâmbovița, the presentation, and the groundwork, hard work of translating these books, because these books are for strategy. Edward Nicolae Luttwak, I haven't met personally. I was so glad when Dr. Nathan was meeting Professor Todd, and I learned that Professor Todd just finished the first round of translation of Professor Luttwak books, which I've read in English, due to the fact that today, you know, the information is flowing around. And my Kindle allows me just to use the touch fingers and to get access to his great strategic mind. He was born in Arad, as he was mentioning. He had a fantastic career in the strategical development of the United States. He's at the same range like Kissinger, like Brzezinski, and others. It's not so well known because publicly he hasn't been involved. But as a mind, and these books, which has been translated, bringing to the Romanian strategists, a young generation, a great deal of experience which allowed to see through this kind of lens the global environment. It's like making a difference between being in the lobby and that 20th floor. We need to move and to understand the perspective. Romania is going to change over the next couple of years, a decade, like never before in the rest of history. Because the whole history is ending at a certain point, and a new history is about to begin. Here, Professor Karp and Professor Miroiu knows, because that's one of the issues we are studying. Each of them having that kind of great deal of interaction skill. So again, it's an honor and privilege for me, Dr. Nash, to be in such a selective environment and looking forward to bring more issues in order of developing, because this is a place where the future of Romania, this part of Romania, is being created. You are shaping the soul and the minds for the new generation. And I was a teacher myself at a certain point in time. And at the first lesson on a new class, I was telling them that I have to do whatever is in my power to transfer the knowledge. Why? Because they're going to give me my pension. If they're not going to get a high level of understanding and learning and so on, my pension will be small. I might be forced to figure out 3-4 jobs in order of making a living after 65. So we are connected. The world is not just a piece here and a piece there. Somehow, we are interconnected. Appreciate a lot. Thank you very much. Again, it's a great honor of being here and looking forward to be the first step. Now, we made the opening, and it's up to you to understand and figure out the next steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Professor Știinţifică.
I really appreciate the idea that Dâmbovița campus will be the hub of the the hub in Romania concerning the energy and especially the nuclear energy. And also I think that our university, Valahia University, will play a huge role, especially now, to form citizen scientists concerning the knowledges about nuclear energy. Because in that region, all the people know about energy nuclear only Chernobyl. They say it's a high risk. Why in the inside the locality? Why in Doicești? So I think that Valahia University will play a huge role to form students to communicate and to change, why not, the public opinion of the people. Because the public opinion of the people is very important. And some kinds of project, if the public opinion is not good, and I think there are many voices which want to stop this project. I think that project will not, maybe, is in impossibility to start. So we will try to form students to communicate and to the large people some information and credible information about nuclear energy, about that technology, small SMR, small mini reactor technology, because it's not a new technology, it's an old technology. And we must have some cooperation between a mini reactor and the classic reactor. Because in Romania we have classic reactors. We have reactors at Cernavodă, we have reactors in Pitești, near Târgoviște. They have also in Pitești nuclear combustible, fuel, nuclear fuel. Yes. Is near Târgoviște. Why not? So I think we cannot say that if we have mini reactors, we do not have risk. If we travel with car, we have a risk. If we travel with plane, we have a risk. And the risk between the small reactor and the classical reactor, I think, is smaller. So,
but it's not risk. As a student in physics, in early 70s, actually, I graduated from high school in 77, actually, and I became a student at the Faculty of Physics and Engineering. And we paid a visit to the future nuclear reactor in Chernobyl. Right. It was a huge, everybody was moving around, we didn't understand too much at that point in time. Years later, I became myself a physics teacher. I was in charge, actually at a certain point in time, as part of the selecting teachers, to select the most gifted and talented students for the international competition in physics. And almost a decade of 80, I was involved here. And it was a huge privilege to work out with such gifted students. And based on this kind of connections, we organized, field trips to visit. So we visit a platform in Bucharest. They had already a small reactor operating there. We visited.
We already visited Chernobyl with our students, and also we visited the center of Polytechnic. We were there with our students.
Really? You've been there 2 weeks ago?
Yes, with our students.
That's an historic.
Together with our students, we have already connection, and we will try
just want to
propose a project.
I'm not a physicist.
No.
I'm not, and I trust you. From this point of view, I
I'll be
trust.
here. I have no place to run.
I trust. But do you know? Because I have been working in journalism since 20 years. Do you know that today 25 points which are illegal to build this.
Who said that?
I will give you all the proofs,
Sure.
but not all, because now we work with
So,
an investigator journalist, and
let me give you.
I can give you all my information, but now we have 25 illegal or doubtful aspects to build
It
this.
came out. Just
Do you know? From this, the physical point of view, I don't understand. I want to say I don't
But you
understand.
can understand.
But I talk with many physicists, and here, like in medicine, I met different people who said there is not a good strategy to build this kind of module here. Maybe it is better to build in Dobroja or in other place,
there are certain
because
reasons. I can address
you
this
told me that you visit this nuclear
Yeah.
centrals, but it's better you visit it, but you don't live it with it.
But
You
we
don't-
have connection
you
with people
understand?
who live in Cernavoda.
Yes.
Many people
In
who
France,
work in
excuse me,
Cernavoda.
in France, I lived in France. Everywhere where I went in France, everybody told me that they want to change the nuclear energy.
Okay.
Because it is not every nuclear central in this world have some leaks.
But you know
Point.
that.
And we can first of all, and with this I will finish. This place, Deutsche, before nuclear project, they want to make also an energy central, but solar energy. Why? Why they change? And we have this social movements. We have this
They
kind
don't
of
change, no.
rumors.
Will be a mixed
We
energy.
have
Will be a mixed energy hub. Not
let myself just 2 minutes. I appreciate. I'm accustomed to talk. It was a time. Last time, actually, when I started to be first time in Dâmbovița, I was with the Chamber of Commerce back in 2012. It was just before the project, the anti-missile project in Deveselu, to start. And I was talking to the director of the Chamber of Commerce in order of inviting the companies and teaching the companies how to apply to get access to contracts. It was at least 4 hours. Couple days later, each one got a certificate from the Minister of Defense after going through the process. It's an open process, nothing is, okay? And it was the beginning how I got to Târgoviște. What impressed me in Târgoviște? Târgoviște has a great military history. It was a capital, it was somebody which name was Petru Cercel. The military environment here had the name of Petru Cercel, which made history and became a very mysterious kind of person. Disappeared. Came over from France as part of the arrangements with the Turkish Empire, created the capital, and actually consolidated the position of the capital of Târgoviște, which was great. Okay, and he's just gone. We're still looking for Petru Cercel. But his stories comes out. Now, before that, I was in Pogălnician. Not because I'm an expert in military. We're talking about business. A friend of mine which knew somebody which is going to apply and had history, he told me that it's going to be some kind of facility in Pogălnician. I never heard about it. And I was curious. That's first of all, I was visiting the Pogălnician. It was a little bigger than a village. no name. Constanza was a big boy in town. When you go today in Bogălnician, the market value of land, properties, and whatever you call it, went way up. 1 second, I was listening to it.
It's like a Wall Street man now.
No. We're talking about realities, not stories.
Yeah.
And it's a reality which I was involved in. Secondly, the nuclear energy is here forever. Not you, not me, we're going to stop. Never happened an accident, except Chernobyl. Chernobyl is the only one. And I remember, because on that year, my twins were born. And I didn't know why the milk was gone. I had twins at the
Do you know what the Geiger device, gadget? We have
what?
a Geiger.
Dosimeter.
Dosimeter.
Radiation
For what?
monitor. To measure the
To measure the...
We
We had-
do you a way of approaching. It's like back in 70s with the guy with UFO. I was in Cluj and everybody was looking for
Just a
UFO.
minute.
And I spent
I
nights
have
after
this
nights in the
device.
woods trying to figure out with the geyser, you know,
Yes,
well,
yes.
actually, but let's talk about after.
Okay, but last
We
summer,
save the time. But
use
that's okay,
it.
I
I use
respect.
it here to
Yeah.
see the level.
Because we have environmental radiation.
I went to the sea, and to Czernavoda, from my car, I use it also. There are differences.
Yes, it's
Absolutely,
normally.
it's a natural
Normally,
difference.
if you
Each of us, we have,
I
you know,
will trust you if you
That's
buy a property here in Dolcești, and you will
do you
move
know what?
We can-
from Bucharest.
Are you
or,
sure?
I don't know,
Are you
and you will
sure?
come
No,
here.
I think
Are you sure that I don't
I
have
will
one
be
already?
assured.
I
Then
think
I will
that
ask
Again,
ask
I want you to make sure that I
which is
understand what I'm
the
saying.
the
I don't think you get it. Are you sure that I don't have already a property there?
Okay. Okay.
we can
Thank
do
you very
that.
I'm a very entrepreneurial kind of guy.
For the moment, we pray that in Zaporozhye nothing happens.
Nothing is going to happen.
We hope so, because
I will ask
I want to have
the leaders of the university for a debate inside. And I'll be here with Dr. Neașu to share from our deal of experience related to whatever you may decide in terms of what's going on in terms of military operation here in the region. It's going to be a great deal of transferring that's real experience of decades.
Speaking about the military heritage of Târgoviște, we should not forget that we have two very important military institutions. It was the military high school, a Deal monastery, which was founded by Nicolae Luttwak. Back then, the Minister of Defense, and this was one of the most prestigious military high schools in the country, and then the cavalry school, which is situated next to the railway station, and that was founded by Crown Prince Ferdinand I, and eventually it was baptized with his name, so it was cavalry school Ferdinand I. And that was also very important. Incidentally, it happened that it was the place where Ceausescu copper was started and then was executed based on the decision of the tribunal. Now I think that Professor Știinţifică wanted to add something about this. Yes.
About strategy, why not?
Yes.
Because I think that subject is very interesting for us because we already have a strategy to form students to be citizen scientists and to form people which can transmit very credible information, real information. We don't try to convince people. We try only to transfer knowledges, correctly the wages, and we know that the spoke credible persons can be only professors and students formed by professors. So we think in that period for Valahia University of Târgoviște, it's a good opportunity to propose some projects, citizen scientist projects, to form students to be citizen scientists, to communicate for entire people from Dâmbovița county. We don't try to convince people. We try only to transfer real, correctly information.
You have
So-
to convince
Not to convince.
But it is necessary.
But
Because the science
from the
and
physicist
sociology
point of
is
view,
different.
we try to form students to be real citizen scientists.
I think in a way you cannot
Not to
manipulate-
convince people,
you
but
cannot
we
manipulate
can
the
be helpful for that project. So we will try to propose some projects to also to develop some contest and our students to be mentors from the students from the high schools concerning that subject, nuclear energy in our life. So we will not try to convince people. We will try to form, to transmit, exactly. So we will try and we want to have some project, and why not? We want some financial support from different institutions to apply to that project. We have ideas already. We write already. We have a project already working concerning our ideas. We need financial support for that.
If I may, dear colleagues,
Yes.
I think this is how science evolved. We have to give credit to some new inventions, even if we are not 100% sure that they will work. It is the same case with artificial intelligence. Of course, there are risks, but we are going in that direction. About nuclear energy, of course, there are problems with safety. That's why these small nuclear reactors were invented. You know that the first small nuclear reactor worked in 1955 in the US. And they stopped the production because it was not safe. And they said, well, we will not stop the idea, but we try to improve it. As it was the case with electrical vehicles, you know, that they started to run in the first decade of the 20th century, 100 years ago. And it was a disaster, but scientists said, we will not renounce to the project, we will go and go. And now we see electrical vehicles. I'm coming from Norway. I saw in Oslo, there is no car except electrical car on the streets. And this is the relationships. And this is the future. Who could believe that 10 years ago? This will be the future in Romania also, no matter what we think about. Now about this technology, I'm not a scientist, but from the strategic perspective, what we see is that we have a lot of initiatives all across the globe. There is a competition between companies. But there are limited players who can develop this technology right now. From US, from Japan, from France, from Canada. The fact that Romania was chosen is a chance. It's a chance. What we have to do as a state is there are two things. First, to reduce bureaucracy, because I'm not an expert also, but I just follow what happened with LENB. and why it failed first and then it resumed because of our bureaucracy. Yeah? I remember a case of a Taiwanese expert that was not able to be employed in that project because he did thousands of papers and papers and papers. And finally he announced he was one of the top scientists. So first to reduce bureaucracy. Second, from what I read, there are research going on about how to deposit nuclear fuels. These companies are giving, as far as I understood, they are giving the nuclear module, but they are not solving this problem, which belongs to any national government. And this is a place for research for your university, I think, to find the best solution for how to deposit this nuclear fuel, how to make it safer, not to start from the assumption that it's not safe at all. No. And this is part of what the government will finance. Romanian government, if he signs the agreement to make it workable, yes, it need to have his own solution for this problem. And Valahia University could say, dear gentlemen, dear government, we have already the solution and we are the only one in Romania who has it. This is the way to think ahead. Thank you.
Please, Professor.
Thank you very much, Professor Kapp. I want to point out two things, and I'm not going to go into technical details, but there are really two issues in here, and without talking deeply about that, the first issue, which has been haunting us for many years now, is the whole issue of reliability about this technology. And all of us are familiar with Three Mile Island, and all of us are familiar with Chernobyl. I think the issue of reliability should be dealt with head on, and I can give you all kinds of numbers that will possibly make the case, but I don't think we should waste our time now. I would like to take, though, a strategic view for a second about making this particular technological breakthrough and moving into a cultural change. 5 years ago, I founded the World Organization called the World Organization for Science Literacy. And when the dean talked, I'm sorry, what's your name, madam?
Claudia.
Claudia. When Claudia talked about it, resonated with me. Right now, I've put together a group of 30 countries in this particular World Organization for Science Literacy. I have to tell you that it was very interesting to notice what happened with these 30 countries during the pandemic. There were all kinds of experts that appeared in all of our media channels, and all kinds of journalists and quasi-experts and charlatans gave us all kinds of information about COVID-19. Some of the information was absolutely shady, some of it was absolutely good. Many people couldn't tell the difference between good information and not so good information, but it made us understand that educating the public about new technology is key. And we found, Claudia, something very interesting. The way to introduce a new technology many times is going to listen very carefully, going to the children, going to the kindergarten, going to the school year ages, and educating these good to-be citizens with the new technology. Some of my grandchildren are now experts in AI. They have no clue about the basics. They don't understand the algorithms, they don't understand programming languages, they don't understand statistics, but they're experts in using AI. We know all of it, right? I mean, we know the children. So new technology, if we want to educate the public about new technology, and that includes our initiative right now that we are talking about the smaller reactors, has to do with educating the public. And now I'm looking at you, I think you said that you are a media person, right? In journalism, right? You have a very important task here. But the task is not communicating to us, grown-ups. The task is to communicate to the younger generation. I don't belittle the issue of reliability. As a professor of engineering, I can give you all the necessary algorithms that will give you the details of the statistics about how reliable SMRs could be, and I'm not going to go into it now, but indeed we can form some kind of a, how do we call it, an expertise here, supported by experts from around the world, that will deal with the issue of reliability head-on. But once we decided that this technology has value, the idea is indeed to try to disseminate this knowledge, as I said, to the younger children. I found it in other technologies, I'm not going to go into details, but this is one of the insights from this organization. Now I'm thinking, Claudia, maybe you can join us in the next meeting. And if you'll be impressed with the people that I bring from 30 countries, maybe you'd like to join us as well. I don't think we have a Romanian delegate yet. Just an idea, and obviously you have to approve it, but I'm saying it might be a good idea. So it's the World Organization of Science Literacy. You can obviously Google it and find some more information about the organization, about my role there, etc. And it was incidentally inaugurated 4 years ago by Secretary General of United Nations and by the President of China, among others, President Xi, in his presence. So, and talking about China, they contribute lots of money right now for this. You know, why? You ask yourself, it doesn't matter. The point is they're ready to, at least initial years, to finance this initiative. So, back to basics. The reliability issue is an issue, it should be dealt with, and indeed there could be a core of experts that will be based possibly here to deal with an issue. And the other thing is about the, how would I say, how you disseminate this knowledge, and for that also we need a good committee, a steering committee that will think about it, but I want you to please think about the fact that if you want to introduce a new technology, think about these younger children. It starts there. Then talk to the parents already, don't worry about it. You know, my grandchildren know to educate me about the need for cellular phones and all these different games they play, etc. So they become like small experts in AI. So, strategically thinking, back to what you said, I agree 100% with what you said. And as to creating this steering committee, shall we say, research committees in Valahia University, I think you may talk about first the technical aspects, it was suggested already, and about how do you disseminate the knowledge, the need for this technology implementation. Thank you.
I want to thank you in the name of our rector. It's a good opportunity for our university to start a new project, new workshop to disseminate new information about nuclear energy innovation, which is a key factor for success for organization. Thank you very much.
Yes, and at the end of this debate, because we have been already going quite long after the initial deadline, so I would like to express our gratitude for the presence of the two scientists today, and to thank Professor Menipaz for sharing with us his thoughts about various aspects dealing with entrepreneurship, and also with the global issues that concern also research and higher education and so on. And to our colleague, Professor Kalp, for talking about the two books that he has translated or is translating. And also I'm very happy that we have with us physicist, Professor Victor Ailenin, and Dr. Nakshu, and for facilitating this meeting of today. Also, I'm very happy that we had a discussion about this topic. It's always the polyvalence that matters in the university, and it's important to speak our minds and to share our thoughts, to communicate and discuss them. Of course, we are not physicists. I'm not a physicist myself, so I cannot argue pro or contra, but I see the things from the perspective, of course, of the international relations, which is one of my fields of expertise, and also I can see it as a historian, and I can see it from the perspective of the 3Cs initiative, because I researched it already from the interwar period, and I saw how it developed over time. So I think that it is really essential to develop the whole region, to think regionally rather than locally. And this is what lacked us during the interwar period. This is why this region actually was so deeply affected by what happened with the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. And look at the consequences. We had states that vanished during the Second World War. We had minorities that were they were gone. I mean, we had the Holocaust. We had people that were sent to Siberia and all these kind of things because we didn't have security. The security collapsed, and with the security collapse, the whole region. The majorities and minorities, people get hating each other with such big consequences. So, in my perspective, of course, having security, and security means all kinds of things: food security, strategic security, energy security, and so on. That is very important. We are, of course, in an institute of research, and I greatly appreciate the suggestion of Professor Carr that we should try to look into how to make these wastes, these nuclear wastes, going away or being used, reused in a way, as we do with solar panels, because in this institute we are processing solar panels. I know that it's a global issue right now because we've got a lot of solar panels and we don't know what to do with the waste when they will be waste. And here in this institute we have the technology and we are working always to improve it in order to solve this issue. So we can add this line of research. We have the capacities. This is a multidisciplinary institute of research. We have the capacities to do that. And I think that this will be also an assurance for the society that we are trying to prevent things that come with all technical innovations. They always have some bad sides, and we can work out solutions for the bad sides of the technologies. So it is really important for raising the issue of cooperation. We are looking forward also with these citizen scientists that it was proposed by our colleagues, and with the labs. We will be happy to host labs technologies in the Institute of Research in order to develop such products that can be useful for the safety of the process. And of course we are looking forward to learn from your entrepreneurship knowledge, because of course we are after almost 50 years of communism. It's 40 years past, but still entrepreneurship is not very much developed. Though I would say that in our university entrepreneurship is quite well advanced, and we have a lot of initiatives in this respect. My colleague, acting rector now, Professor Duic, is very much involved in that. So we are very grateful that he is here. Thank you so much also to Columna TV for facilitating this debate to reach the people, the local communities, the regional communities, because I think that the most important one, besides what have been said by Professor Monicaz and Professor Karp and other speakers here, is also the discussion that we had on the nuclear energy. It is important to share different viewpoints. Thank you also to my colleagues, Dean and Vice Rector, who had to leave for other appointments, and our colleagues from the Institute of Multidisciplinară Research for hosting this meeting, and Vice Deans, the Directors of Research Centers for being with us, and all the other guests today. And be sure that our university is open, is always striving to do the things that are in favor of the community, and we are responsible, active, and we have the knowledge inside this university. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. So, I think that now
Mai fi avut întrebări?
Da. Știu, dar nu e vorba de asta. Nu e vorba de radon.
Dar nu întreba chestii de astea.
Alea sunt grave. Haideți să discutăm despre chestia asta și spune tu care este răspunsul. La întrebarea asta, că sunt multe întrebări. Haideți să le vedem pe asta. În SUA există niște reglementări cu privire la densitatea populației. Da? La ei este clară zona de excludere, la noi este egal de egal. 1 metru e distanță. Între prima ființă umană și prostia asta este 1 metru. Iar în Statele Unite, deci la noi avem densitatea de 238 de persoane pe kilometru pătrat.
283.
283. Ce faceți la asta? Care răspunsul? Legal, nu se poate.
Posibil. Reglementările din SUA nu sunt aceleași cu reglementările noastre, care sunt de fapt...
Arată-ne! Nu, care nu le avem.
Asta vreau să spun, că în momentul ăsta noi am fost la un meeting...
Da, mă, dar cum să le creăm? Asta în funcție, mai întâi construim și după aceea facem reglementări.
Deci că nu construiești, stai puțin. Că până la construcție mai este...
Nu, s-a ales locația asta. Cum s-a putut alege o asemenea locație care nu corespunde nici din punct de vedere seismic, nici al surselor de apă, nici al densității de populație? Noi, pentru că cineva are un teren și vrea să-l valorifice, am zis un exemplu de mare corupție.
Deci cu jurnalistul de investigație de la care lucrez, astăzi el lucrează frații Mureșan, care au vândut asta. Păi trebuie să intri că sunt o corupție cumplită cum s-a ajuns să se construiască.
Frații Mureșan au luat acest lucru asta era Alin Ardelean, care este băiatul lui Vigil Ardelean, fostul șef de la 2 plus F.
Da? Nu, păi nu știți care e linia. Deci eu nu sunt din punct de vedere publice. Deci este ca și cum tu vrei să-mi aduci un Porsche și îmi spui cât de minunat e Porsche-ul. Înțeleg? Da, am înțeles, dar... E foarte rău că trebuie convins populația, că altfel va fi ca la Pungești. Vor ieși și vor spune că nu se poate.
Tehnologia trebuie cunoscută, da? Pentru că nu comparăm tehnologia, nu tehnologia în sine, că tehnologia e veche, dar nu comparăm efectele sau ce, da, cu unui reactor nuclear cu efectele unui reactor clasic.
De ce nu le comparăm?
Pentru că
Mini-reactorul ăsta este odată îngropat, da?
Și ce da?
Are o cantitate de material combustibil mult mai mică. Totul este în capsula. Noi am fost la o întâlnire, deci la un meeting și ni s-a prezentat la bibliotecă, da? Deci nu sunt. Noi asta vrem să investim și în niște dozimetre, să mergem să facem măsurători la fața lor. Asta vrem să facem și acum. Normal, avem radioactivitate naturală, oricum nu avem.
Claudia, ce problemă
normal
pune
că dacă trăiești în preajma unui reactor, ai o doză de da? Dar stai
eu stau aici.
nu te supăra, cei de la Cernabodă se fac măsurători, am și eu prieteni care lucrează acolo. Nu s-a depășit niciodată doza maximă admisă.
Ok, stați un pic, ce înseamnă doza maximă?
Stai puțin, Claudia, stai puțin.
Stați un pic, ce înseamnă doza maximă? În condițiile în care...
Valoare, să vă dau, 2 milisievert pe an.
Milisievert pe an, da?
Da.
Ok. Aici, fondul de radiație este 0,1 sau 0,008, maxim, milisievert, da? Media.
Da.
La Cernabodă e 0,36. De 4 ori mai mare. De ce trebuie să indice o doză de radiații mai mare?
Dar nu afectează cu nimic.
De unde știi? Haideți să vedem cum afectează. Cum afectează? Nu. Cum afectează? Nu, haideți să stăm jos.
Deci cum să vă spun că și noi am învățat, noi suntem fizicieni.
Ok.
Deci
Tocmai că sunteți fizicieni.
Tocmai de aia. Deci
știți ce înseamnă?
Eu student la fizica mediului, unde și imediat, la dumneavoastră, vă iertați. La fizica mediului chiar am un capitol, radioactivitatea mediului. Și vorbesc despre componenta naturală, componenta artificială. Da? Există, mergem cu avionul, păi deja ne-am iradiat. De ce? Că așa vreau eu. Și acolo e o doză. Nu, măi, deci tu acumulezi, pe un an de zile acumulezi o doză de radiație. Te duci să-ți faci o radiografie, să faci un computer tomograf, Doamne ferește, da, poate trebuie să repezi din 6.
Claudia,
deci se adaugă,
stai puțin,
se adaugă. Trăiești într-o zonă cu reactor nuclear, mai adaugi și acolo. Deci
păi da, mi se adaugă.
A zis că nu e risc, nu pot să spun lucrul ăsta, asta am și spus, riscul este, dar se adaugă, da, se adaugă.
Haideți să înțelegem
făcând o, cum se numește?
Lăsați-mă să pun și eu niște întrebări, că înțeleg că sunteți de specialitate.
Ei, nu sunt chiar de fizica nucleară și...
De ce, cum s-a stabilit limita asta de, nu e de 2 milisievert, este de 1 milisievert pe an, limita de doza de radiație.
Stabilită de cine?
Stabilită
la CNCAN, citire? Uitați-vă că avem CNCAN, avem Centrul Național de Cercetări și Activități Nucleare.
Da, nu discutăm de CNCAN, discutăm de reglementările internaționale, adică ce se întâmplă la Agenția de la Viena.
Doamna
de este mai rezistent.
De la Ministerul Apărării, doamna Necșu, strategia...
Doamnă, noi suntem mai rezistenți decât alții. La noi limita e mai mare, înțeleg.
Știți cum a fost?
Pe ce criterii se stabilește limita asta?
Păi vă spun pe ce criterii. Pentru că, deci există acest Centru Național de Cercetări care, da, deci se ocupă de partea asta cu legislații, control și așa mai departe.
Ce ați văzut vreodată vreun...
Da, dumnealor...
Ați văzut vreun material, vreun referat, vreo lucrare în care îi spun cum au făcut cercetările astea și cum au ajuns la limita asta de 2 milisievert?
Deci, odată, stați puțin, noi ne supunem și la nivel nuclear. Am văzut anumite de la Agenția Internațională de la Viena. Da.
Ai altceva.
Nu, dar și România merge exact pe același, vă spun clar. România
la
merge exact
Agenție
pe
e 1
același...
milisievert, nu sunt 2 milisievert.
La IAEA?
Da, e 1 milisievert.
Poftim, nu știu când m-am... Deci dar și așa vă spun garantat. Deci, cum s-au făcut
eu vă spun că ăștia nu au date nici măcar în Institutul Oncologic și proveniența cancerelor pe care le tratează ei acolo. Dacă să mai aibă nu știu cine date despre ce se întâmplă, care e influența radiațiilor.
Da, dacă am un cancer, de exemplu, eu mă gândesc așa, mă duc și mă radiați.
Unde vă duceți să vă iradiați?
Acolo unde trebuie să fac tratament.
Ce să faceți? Păi dar nu este radioterapia, radioterapia nu este singura și este discutabilă dacă are sau nu rezultat în cancer. Sunt numai anumite tipuri de cancer. De fapt, ce face radioterapia? Arde toate țesuturile, inclusiv alea bune și alea proaste, în speranța că, în speranța că corpul nostru va fi în stare să refacă țesuturile bune, nu pe alea proaste, da? Pentru că există un mecanism prin care celulele, ați văzut, vă tăiați, se formează tot celulele de piele, tot celulele de țesut muscular și nu se formează ficat sau altceva în tăietură. Da? Pe chestia asta, pe felul în care ajunge să se exprime genele care definesc un țesut, așa se speră că se reușește. Câteodată reușește, de foarte multe ori nu reușește. Ați avut o întrebare. Ați avut un cancer în familie?
Da.
Și cum s-a terminat?
N-am mai ajuns la fază de radioterapie pentru că a fost scleroză. Dar dacă era mai
Care
devreme,
credeți că este?
mergeam la radioterapie.
Care credeți dumneavoastră? Deci radioterapia este cea mai proastă dintre ele, dacă mă întrebați pe mine, și putem să discutăm și de genomică și de genetică.
vorbind, rata de succes este de 3%.
Cu șanse mai mari este chimioterapia și mai mult este imunoterapia, care se poate face
Este o procedură. Normal că nu intri la radioterapie mintenaș, da? Deci faci, știu eu ce, chimioterapie, pentru că
Depinde unde e plasat,
trebuie să,
de multe
bineînțeles,
alte
sunt
chestii.
multe.
Da,
Efecte
Claudia,
secundare
tu te-ai
sunt
mutat în
iradiera, nu
Doicești.
faci așa, pe tot corpul.
Claudia, ca să
Există
încheiem,
un
te-ai mutat în
Eu
Doicești.
vreau să vă promit.
Nu, eu am întrebări și nu
Cine?
Așa,
Chiar
și?
vis-a-vis.
Vă bucurați? Bun, ok.
Nu putem să spunem că
Haideți să revenim. Deci studiul ăla pe care ei au afirmat că l-au făcut pentru amplasament, nu l-a văzut nimeni. Absolut nimeni. Li s-a cerut și în instanță și au evitat să-l dea inclusiv în instanță. Da? 2. Discutăm de o firmă care este falimentară de ani de zile. Nu scrie. Este o firmă care a fost în faliment, a fost preluată de Flow Corporation, care este un gigant. Și datorită lui Flow Corporation a ajuns să fie și ea listată la bursă și băgată în seamă. Da? Asta a fost un start. A început acum 15 ani. Eu nu am niciun pic de încredere. Știți cum se face transferul tehnic? Că spuneți că sunteți de profesie. Cum se face transferul ăsta tehnic de la nucleu către condensat, către schimbătorul de căldură?
Pe tehnologia asta,
Da.
deci acum nu puteți să spuneți că mie mi-au transmis mie tehnologia, să știu clar ce se întâmplă, cum e acolo aplasat.
Ok, dar dacă spuneți că sunteți fără grijă, înseamnă că ați aflat.
N-am spus că sunt fără grijă, nu m-ați înțeles.
Ok.
Deci
Vă spun eu, prin conducție, ascultați-mă,
prin
prin conducție,
Nu, acesta este mult mai jos decât la o centrală
Știi,
normală.
dar e atât de mare încât merită să
nu
încerce alții în altă parte.
este chiar mai mare decât la o centrală și vă explic acum imediat. De ce?
Deci,
Transferul tehnic vor să facă prin conducție și convecție. Da? Pe ceea ce se bazează ei este forța gravitațională și diferența de densitate. Da? Eu vă spun 77 de MW, nu-i transferați așa, asta de votul profesorului universitar. Nu se pot transfera. Ăla o să bubuie. Primul care îl face, o să bubuie, o să vedeți. Să nu-l fac aici, asta vreau. Da?
Dar noi pentru prima oară să facem asta de...
Nu s-a făcut. Unde? Unde?
În America a fost.
Nu, doamne, nu folosește nimeni, doamne. Eu vă spun cunoștință de cauză. Nu, alea sunt PVA pe submarină, da? Și au regie forțată. Ei nu vin și cu oceanul aici. Da? Aia au regie forțată, au pompe cu care au un ocean la dispoziție să răcească reactorul, dacă așa vrei. Aici nu au așa ceva. Da? Asta e 7,83 metri cub pe secundă. Un studiu făcut de Valahia. Da? Știți că au închis reactoarele de la Cernavodă când Dunărea de la 6500 a ajuns la 2300? Din considerente de siguranță, cât avem de la 2300 până la 7? Că o să fie toate jumate dintr-un reactor.
Dar știți că
cu ce o să
se
facem?
folosește apă din Ialomița, de exemplu?
Păi cu ce o să poată să acționeze?
Faci bazine.
Dom'le, eu nu cred că cineva a făcut serios. Știu despre ce este vorba, dar v-am spus că știu, am studiat subiecte, am discutat cu profesori universitari. Da? Întrebând, credeți că prin producție și convenție o să ajungem să eliberăm căldura de lucrăm?
Eu în Franța am cunoscut fizicieni la universitate.
M-ați înțeles?
Deci,
nu mai dați exemplu cu sumarină, că nu există.
Profesor universitar de fizică m-a dus lângă
au dat aprobare de proiectare, atenție.
Au dat aprobare de
Nu
proiectare.
de construcție, nu de proiecție, de nimic.
Omologat.
Haideți să fim atenți când
citim mașini omologate.
Haideți să citim cu atenție. Este aprobare de proiectare, atâta s-au obținut.
Arată undeva.
Și asta cu 17 concesii, e adevărat, unele din ele nu se... Unele dintre concesiile astea
știu că
profesor.
Deci, următorul lucru se întâmplă.
Spuneți.
Targetul meu acum nu este de a convinge lumea. V-am mai spus-o și am spus-o clar. Eu nu vreau să conving lumea. Nu vreau să. Dar eu vreau să transmitem și niște informații corecte. Ați înțeles?
Ce vă spun eu pot să probez.
Participați cu noi să transmitem niște informații corecte.
Eu vă întreb așa.
Organizăm nu așa.
În 79, în Statele Unite, a avut loc un accident la Three Mile Island. Ați auzit de el, da?
Da.
Știți câte reactoare nucleare a mai pus America în funcțiune în 43 de ani, de atunci, de 79 și până astăzi? Câte reactoare noi a pus în funcțiune? Nu răspundeți. Câte reactoare?
S-au cercetat, au îmbunătățit tehnologia.
Două reactoare, doamnă. Două.
Dar, de exemplu,
Două? Păi cum două? Ai 104 în funcțiune. Și am mai adăugat doar două.
Da, pentru că
le-a dat de gândit.
și...
Nu, le-a dat de gândit, doamne.
Dar mai
Le-a
fac,
dat de
nu
gândit.
Germania de ce a închis?
Păi de ce mi-e de
Păi de ce oare?
De ce?
Pentru
Din
că
cauza
în
riscului.
Franța cumpără de acolo, e mai ușor de
Franța
retehnologizat.
nu știe ce să facă pentru a ne
E
închide.
mai ușor de retehnologizat decât de
Claudia,
construit unul nou.
nu auzi la Franța,
Cât
eu
este
stat,
megavatul de
nu știe
energie
ce să facă
nucleară?
pentru a le închide.
Cât
Noi
este
deschidem.
megavatul de energie nucleară? 150 nu vă spun eu, deci
Deci sunt lucruri
luați
care pe
studiile.
mine nu, deci pe mine mă
Nu
partea
trebuie să aveți,
științifică
nu,
nu.
doamne,
și parte de
nu,
management.
doamne, când facem o investiție trebuie să fim atenți la tot, da?
Eu mă gândesc acum la investiții. Eu mă gândesc că putem să transmitem niște informații.
Deci luăm
Atâta
datele,
științifice, nu altceva.
ascultați-mă, științifici, da, și astea sunt date economice, sunt tot
De
științifice,
acord,
da?
asta zic, participați cu noi într-un proiect.
Deci,
De ce nu?
ascultați-mă puțin, vă rog. Deci, luăm datele din apartele de la Lazar, care este cel mai mare bancă de investiții din lume, da? Și care îi sfătuiește investitorii unde să pună bani. Și spune, nu știu, cine a fost, că eu n-am ajuns la Nu, Exim Bank e altceva, Lazar e altceva. Lazar, da? Nu, e o bancă de la 1850 și Statele Unite, cea mai mare bancă de investiții din lume, da? Sunt mii de miliarde care se...
Au plecat, domnule, noi stăm aici.
Stați un pic, ca să rămânem.
Uite, site-ul și acolo e vorba de registrări.
Profesor, un pic, vreți să purtăm și noi un dialog?
Numai puțin. Deci, costul este de $155 megawatt. Știți cât costă fotovoltaicul? 39. Eolianul 38. De ce ne ducem să luăm energie nucleară, să punem energie nucleară? Înțelegeți, energia nucleară nu este sustenabilă dacă statul nu cumpără plutoniu. Da? Plutoniu este produs secundar de reacție.
Claudia, ce răspuns ai la chestia asta? E o informație care este 100% adevărată.
Cum să zic, nu pot să dau informații economice. Nu pot să dau astfel de informații.
Bun, ok. Haideți să revenim la tehnică.
Dar poți să faci o frână.
Revenim la tehnică.
Ce frână să fac?
Revenim la tehnică. Ascultați-mă. Cât este accelerația gravitațională la Biblioteca?
O măsurăm.
Cât este?
Pentru că
am greșit.
Nu, că trebuie să fie mai...
Nu, cât este...
Trebuie să fie mai joasă, că suntem la 280 și ceva de
scuze, am greșit eu, nu accelerația gravitațională, accelerația la cutremur.
Am văzut.
Cât este?
Trebuie să mă uit, nu lucrez în domeniul ăsta. Deci trebuie să
este
mă uit...
de la fizica, Institutul de Fizică a Pământului e publică.
Deci eu mă uit pentru că avem un studiu acum legat de radon. Și să știți că acest radon, într-adevăr, este un precursor, să spunem, și un indicator referitor la cutremur. Da?
Da.
Deci, informațiile astea probabil le-aș cerut, că nu sunt vizibile chiar accelerațiile pe site-ul Institutului.
Sunt pe site-ul Institutului, este harta.
Magnitudine am văzut așa, n-am văzut informații despre accelerație, dar despre magnitudine, despre suprafața, deci unde a fost epicentrul, la ce suprafață, despre unda de șoc, despre asta.
Exact,
și
exact.
eu mă
Acolo
uit
aveți
pe
harta,
site-ul INFP, să știți că destul de des,
o să
pentru că vreau
vedeți
să-mi
acolo.
interpretez niște rezultate legate de radon.
Ascultați-mă un pic. La Dăicești e 0,35. Știți cât este la București?
0,35?
G. 0,35 G. Adică
0,35?
G metri pe secundă la pătrat. Că e accelerație.
Giga sau ce G?
G-ul este accelerația gravitațională.
Nu, deci de 0,35 din G sau
din G. Da, 0,35 din G. Da,
cu tremur.
Știți cât este la București? E 0,3, e mai mic. Ați văzut ce s-a întâmplat
deci
la
acolo
cutremurul din 77?
mic în ceea ce a scris acolo, nu G mare. Că eu tot mă gândeam ce
care...
G mare M pe secundă la pătrat.
E accelerație. G-ul este accelerație.
Nu, accelerația gravitațională.
Ok, notați-o cum considerați.
Da, am crezut că-s giga.
Nu sunt giga, nu. Da? Deci, problema este, ascultați-mă un pic, da?
Deci, din punct de vedere seismic, nu se justifică să pui o centrală. Du-te cu ea la Cluj, că e 0,2.
Nu vă supărați.
Du-te cu ea în
Nu vă
Dâmbovița, că e
supărați. Sunt
0,2.
studii făcute și legați de proiecte specifice.
Unde sunt studiile astea?
La cei de la Ingineria de Fizică și Pământului.
Unde
Acolo,
sunt?
la
Că
fel,
nu le
uitați-vă
vede
că
nimeni.
deja este o zonă, ați văzut,
Nu.
zona seismică
Văd,
Vâlcea.
doamne.
Nu am de unde să o dau eu.
Păi atunci,
Uitați-vă pe
noi vorbim
nu
numai
sunt
pe
plăci
chestiuni care
tectonice,
există.
sunt. Deci
Bun,
eu vă spun
acum,
că, în general,
care sunt produși de reacție
studii,
care sunt
în
periculoși
gen-
pentru, din punctul nostru de vedere? Care
produși
sunt? Da, la o
care
centrală
ajung
asta
în
nucleară.
când ajung când?
Ei,
În
dacă
atmosferă.
ne uităm
Dacă
la
se produce
energie,
un accident sau dacă este vorba
nu, fără accident. Fără accident. În mod normal există niște produși de reacție care ajung voit sau nevoit, așa zice raportul NRC-ului,
Așa.
în aer, în apă. Voit sau nevoit.
Deci ce spuneți noastră voit? Înseamnă că aici cineva
Adică că cineva a vrut sau că a fost scăpare accidentală.
Deci cum să vă spun?
Da?
Pe mine nu mă interesează.
Voit înseamnă că pot să dau
mă
la presiune pentru că îmi dau seama că altfel
Adică dumneavoastră vreți să ziceți că exact că asta s-a întâmplat și la Cernobâl, de fapt.
Nu. Luăm raportul de la NRC și o să vă uitați că există un raport anual pe care îl dau. Și nu există nicio centrală din Statele Unite. Hai, plecăm!
Deci,
înțeleg că nu sunteți interesată de argumente.
Nu,
okay.
nu. Da, într-adăvăr, adică eu nu vreau nici să conving și nici nu vreau să intru în astfel de... Dar pentru mine, din punct de vedere al fizicianului, da, eu consider că este un lucru, da, cumva beneficii/risc, da, care crește balanța spre beneficii.
Doamne, nici nu mă aștept să găsesc un fizician și mai ales un atomist care să spună că energia atomică e o prostie. Nu.
Da.
Ascultați-mă. Eu, ca să înțelegeți, eu nu sunt împotriva la tot, dar la centrala asta, da. Da? Sunt atâtea utilizări care sunt esențiale privind energia atomică.
Deci, din punctul meu de vedere, eu consider că poate acum, într-adevăr, putem să formăm și noi, deci nu neapărat să construiască reactorul nuclear aici, m-ați înțeles? Nu ăsta e scopul meu. Scopul meu este că, iată, putem să formăm totuși niște studenți cu anumite cunoștințe. M-ați înțeles? În domeniul ăsta. Eu nu vreau să conving, nu sunt nici din domeniul nuclear, nu sunt din domeniul centralelor nucleare să încep acum să discut anumite, că nu sunt. Da? Eu am făcut specializarea. Haideți, lăsați-mă. Eu am făcut specializarea biofizică. Sunt fizician, specializare biofizică și da, predau și capitol de radioactivitate a mediului. Cum să nu spună tritiu ceva.
Ok. Cât e timpul de înjumătățire la tritiu? 12,3 am vă spun eu, față de timpul de înjumătățire la uraniu 238 este 7,3 sau 7,4 miliarde și la uraniu 235 e 700 de milioane.
Și dumneavoastră credeți că după ce se produce reacția și s-a consumat și materialul ăla fisionabil și
așa. Nu, am vrut
așa.
să spun că despre aceste scăpări de tritiu este vorba în Statele Unite.
Dacă sunt voite, am zis. Nu știu,
voite sau
nu intru eu în
nevoite.
polemici.
Nu, sunt scăpări, așa se numește raportul, scăpări de tritiu, voite sau nevoite. Și vă uitați acolo și să vedeți că nu există nicio centrală nucleară din Statele Unite care să nu aibă scăpări de tritiu. Tritiu este cel mai periculos dintre toți compușii ăștia.
Deci peste tot.
Deci
aia zic că există un nivel de radioactivitate. Trăiești într-o zonă unde centrale
nucleare. E o diferență între tritiu și orice alt produs, orice alt radionuclid. Este foarte mare, pentru că înlocuiește hidrogenul din apă, rezultă apă triturată, așa, și aia s-a terminat, a ajuns în foarte cancer 1000%, e moarte 1000%. Înțelegeți? Deci ne jucăm cu ceea ce nu trebuie.
Bun, aveți undeva, de exemplu, la Cercetare, care este, ziceți, statisticul,
să știți că nu are nici Institutul Oncologic, chiar domnul Ghiță, deci eu vorbesc, domnul Ghiță la nucleară electrică, spune prostii că nu sunt incidente, adică nu e prostie, încearcă să ocolească subiectul.
Sunt convinsă că sunt și chestii politice, economice aici,
stați că nu e vorba de asta, dar în momentul în care spui că a scăzut nivelul de leucemie, leucemia apare la expunere masivă de radiație. Nu apare la expunerile astea pe care le suportăm toți.
Înțelegeți?
Eu am rude în Cernobâl și să știți că lumea este destul de nemulțumită, că n-ai ce face și că dă de nume e alta. Doi, o centrală.
Știu și eu pe cineva, da?
Nu, eu am chiar mama s-a născut acolo.
Deci eu am colegi de-ai mei care stau și lucrează acolo, dar trăiesc în Cernavod. S-au mutat
Da,
în
nu,
București,
atâta timp cât este radiația da, radiația măsurată de mine, nu de altcineva, de câteva ori trecând pe acolo, a fost 0,36, de 4 ori mai decât aici. De ce trebuie să înghit eu un fond de radiație atât de mare? Spuneți-mi.
Acum am înțeles că e normal, am zis, stau în preajma unei centrale nucleare, am o doză de radiație inclusă. Bun, puneți problema de ce trebuie să o iau eu. Da, corect. Vă respect punctul de vedere. Da? Vă respect punctul de vedere.
În Statele Unite, haideți să vă spun ceva.
Că, practic, această
știți cât
doză...
este zona de excludere conform
fac...
legislației americane? Zona de excludere conform legislației americane, știți cât este? Nu. Este de 10 mili, adică 16 km. Asta, zonă de excludere, înseamnă zonă în care nu au loc alte activități decât cele legate de centrală. Da? Media, 16 km și zona de protecție este de 50 de mili la 80 de km. Pentru zona de protecție trebuie să ai proceduri de evacuare rapidă, iar
un profesor major.
Păi ce să zic? Păi de aceea am întrebat.
Avem fabrică de combustibil nuclear acolo.
Da, nu-mi dați exemplu. Oricum, nu. Fabrica aia de combustibil face... Nu, stați nu. E vorba de altceva. Ăla nu e uraniu îmbogățit de la Știinţifică, ăla e uraniu natural. Doar să sintetizează, să bagă niște capsule. E cu totul altceva. Da? Aici vorbim de uraniu îmbogățit, minim 5%. S-ar putea, cine știe, să fie și mai mult. Pentru că nu le convine că la 5% trebuie să schimbe barele la 2 ani. Ăsta nu se consumă integral.
Dar asta nu se
Înțelegeți?
Deci asta se schimbă capsula. Se schimbă capsula de la bun
că se schimbă capsula aceea.
Tot la bani. Nu să dea mie acum
capsula conține tot bani. Capsula conține tot bani. Bun, ce se întâmplă cu combustibilul uzat?
Deci se ia capsula. Ce se întâmplă acum cu combustibilul uzat?
La noi?
Da.
Este niște emisii, la 700 de metri, da, la 700 de metri.
de uraniu din Băița.
Nu. Se răcește întâi și încă n-a plecat niciun gram de combustibil de acolo, din Cernavod. Ascultați-mă, trebuie să-l răcim 50-60 de ani. Păi stați un pic, eu mă încălzesc și am cu el 2 ani, poșaje de combustibil și nepoții, nu copiii, nepoții mei.
Se schimbă capsula cu
tot. Doamne, și unde o duce? Unde o duce? Că nu există nicăieri, nici în Statele Unite. Stai un pic, mă, că nu e nici în Statele Unite, nu există depozit subteran. A existat unul în Rusia și a bușit.
Nu știu, dar ați vorbit cu cei de la Agenția Europeană de Deșeuri Nucleare, care are filială la România. Ați vorbit cu cei de acolo?
Și nu sunt băgați în seamă.
Așa v-au spus că nu sunt băgați în seamă?
Doamne, a băgat pe cineva.
Nu, că au spus așa, pentru că eu am participat la o întâlnire unde au fost prezenți și dumneavoastră.
Nu, ce mai puțin, doamnă.
Agenția Europeană de Auziți, mai stăm de... Deci nu vreau să ne... Doamne ferește.
Deci, haideți să vă explic.
Sunteți mult prea tolerantă.
Nu, un singur lucru vreau să vă explic. Eu, Dan Ciobanu, numele meu de la Columna TV. Deci, eu vă explic așa, la modul general. Nu sunt nici fizician, nici expert, decât la nivel de comunicare. Vă explic decât un singur lucru. În momentul când a venit Renault Tehnologică în România, în Dâmbovița, investiții, super. Și orice investiție e binevenită, din punct de vedere economic, da, naște performanțe și așa mai departe, da? Ei, cei de la Renault au venit cu o mașină, au venit cu niște produse, într-un final, omologate, da? Asta fac, asta se întâmplă la tipul, da? Produs omologat. Ne dorim ca același lucru în la Dăicești să vină cineva și să spună, domnule, acest produs este omologat.
Eu așa am înțeles. Acum, nu, doar am fost acolo și au fost și de la Ministerul. Am înțeles că nu vor porni până nu vor obține, deci acum este faza aceea de. Deci eu nu cred, nu știu.
Și dacă faci omologarea la
ăștia sunt niște...
Omologarea dacă are loc în Paști, că așa vor.
Deci nu fac aia acasă, în America.
Eu fac alte...
Anul trecut, în octombrie, spre noiembrie, încă mai exista pe site-ul de la